Open my card collection again. I have a in this room. I have a binder of like rookies,
Uh-huh.
and so I have a few rookies that I'm moving over. I had an extra Najee Harris that I didn't case yet, and then I had Romeo Dobbs. So I'm like, well, I'm here. Let me move them over to my main folder.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Real Talk with ZTS, where we, as brothers, search for ways to share our voices while having a good time just talking, having those real talk conversations, our shared experiences, and reacting to random topics and articles. As we always say, we all have something to share, and we look forward to sharing and building that community of stories that we can all relate to. Now enjoy the episode.
How's it going, man?
Good. You know,
Yeah.
today was one of those good days, I guess, It went by fairly smooth. It was busy, but it wasn't like too busy.
Yeah, you were supposed to have a late night tonight, huh? For work.
Yeah. Luckily, because like the event that was happening is just testing, but
Yeah,
these kids
that's
like
why.
finished his test so quick today that I was like, oh, that works.
That's good. Yeah, because I was like, hey, I'm willing to have a late night. Get it done, get our meetup done for the week. But yeah, it was one of those things where it was like, all right, I can't complain. I
Yeah,
agree with
no.
you. Yeah, I agree with you. Today was like one of those days that like everything just kind of just kind of going smoothly. Knock on wood. Hopefully uh nothing disrupts it. But not, I can't complain, man.
Nah, I hear you. Yeah. I mean, it was a good day. I think mine work wise ended a little poorly because some
Oh,
douche snodule of all things. Nah, I mean, man, one of these guys at work, man. Not to
some
name,
dude.
not throwing names out there or anything, but
Call him out. No, just kidding.
nah. He probably wouldn't even listen to this anyways. But
Yeah,
yeah, man, he's just being a dick about things, and yeah, it was just one of those things. He like both of us are directors, and he
right.
a condescending tone in an email. And
Of
I was like,
course.
ooh, man, there's two ways I can respond to this. One, very professional and
Yeah.
take the high road. Or two, respond professionally, but call him out on his shit and then blind CC his boss. You know what I mean? I chose number
Nah.
one because I didn't want to be a dick about it,
Yeah.
um, but let it be known, this is the third time.
Yep. We talked about
That
this
I
before.
was gonna say that fourth time. Oh, you better believe I
Yeah.
will. I will be an asshole right back at you. And if
Remember
you
we
don't
we
like
talked,
it,
yeah.
oof.
Me and you, we talked about this before about like waging warfare and emails and those who wants to play the game. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
you
yeah.
wanna you wanna you wanna CC people. I'm like, okay, I'll level up. I'll CC even more. We'll go straight to we'll CC people who's not even involved in this, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
has pull. You want to play that
Oh
game?
yeah. You want me to
Yeah.
CC the VP of that division? By all
Yeah.
means, let me do it.
Right.
By all
Because
means.
I ain't scared. I know my responsibilities. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny.
Nah, no, it was just one of those situations. I'm like, you ass. All right, we can play this if you want, but
Yeah. Oh man. Um, but yeah, we'll yeah, it's one of those things, man. Um, luckily I haven't have to deal with it too much, but it happens to all of us, in our professional setting. So it's not nothing new.
yeah, I
Yeah.
know it was. Yeah, like I said, it was one of those things. I was just like, mm,
Right.
couldn't have been a good day, man. It was
Yeah.
all the way there, and then you just had to send an email that was like that, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you being
Right.
that guy right now?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
do your
Well,
job. Why don't you do
yeah,
your job? You know what I mean?
exactly.
Golly.
Oh man, that gets me heated because like I love those because then I could fight with them professionally. in an
Oh
email.
yeah,
And
for sure.
usually, typically, I win, unless I know it's my fault. But I would never get in a fight if it's my fault because I'll own up to it.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
Um.
was ready to throw hands metaphorically through an
Yeah.
email, but
Yeah.
um yeah, man, ugh, God, that was so annoying. I
It's because
mean,
a
it
lot of
is what it
people.
is
Yeah.
now, but
Right. It's because a lot of people can't seem to take accountability for themselves. So it's like,
oh yeah. Yeah,
you know.
and this person has definitely done this before where
Yeah.
there was one time like it was a weekend and he had to
Yeah.
get called because he didn't do his shit essentially.
Yeah.
Uh and like while all of the other parties are on the phone, granted this other person called him and was like, "Hey, we're just trying to figure this out." And then he was like, "Well, this department should be doing that." And I'm like, I chime in. I'm like, "No, I'm from that department. If I had a
Right.
key, this wouldn't be an issue." And he was like, "Well, no, it should be the police department. The police officer that's with us." Yeah, we don't have a key for that either. And they're like, "Well, this group should be doing it." And we're like, "Doesn't that group report to you?"
Right.
It's like, "Well, yeah, technically, but he's out on vacation. So wouldn't
Okay.
that default to
To you,
you?"
dumbass.
Question mark. Uh, and then the other person that called was like, "What's the process?" And he was like, "Well, technically, we're in charge of that, but you have to do this
Oh my
in
God.
order to have it done." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Bro, you just tried to throw two people under the bus, and both of us were sitting there on this phone call
Yeah.
because you couldn't see, obviously." And I'm like, "You want to try that again, sir?"
Yeah. Oh man.
This guy just trying to.
Because they can't take accountability or they don't want to do their job. It's like, dude, then the hell out of here.
I know, like, you don't
Yeah.
need to be a dick about it.
Right.
Own it up. Say you fucked up, or say you
Yeah.
messed up, or whatever it is.
Right.
I was just like, damn, man, you trying to you trying to pawn this off like it's somebody else's responsibility,
Exactly.
knowing damn well we ain't got the right tools to do whatever
Right.
you wanted to do. Anyways,
Yeah. Anyways, did you get a chance to peep at the solar eclipse or whatever those went on? I honestly totally forgot about it.
yeah,
I mean, on the West Coast, well, I don't know about California, but at least here in the Pacific Northwest, it was cloudy anyways. So it's like, you know, couldn't see it even if you tried.
yeah, it was sunny yesterday in California, so I honestly just spaced about it until one of our coworkers was just like, "Hey, I have the eclipse," and she like held up her phone, and she was like, "It's
Yeah.
happening right now." And we're in a building with tinted windows, so I wasn't really
Yeah.
even paying attention to that. I was
Yeah.
eating my lunch, and that was more important at the time. And I was like, "Oh, I could have just looked outside, and it probably would have got dark for a second, and then
No,
it would have
I
gone
didn't
away."
even I didn't even bother to look. So
No, no, like I said, I was
yeah.
in a building with tinted windows, so it's not like I would have noticed the difference just from that. And the
Yeah.
that side of the building shaded anyways, so it already looks kind of dark. You can tell it's sunny out there, but it already looks dark. But
Right.
so I wouldn't have noticed unless I was like outside and been like, "The hell? Why did it get so dark?" And then I was like, "Oh,
So
yeah,
so I haven't experienced like an eclipse yet that I can remember. But is it me or like okay, all right, teach me something today. Cuz I'm ignorant to eclipses or whatever, right? But after every eclipse, they're always like, "Oh, we're not going to see this eclipse again until 24 years from now, 25 years." But then I'm not going to lie. Wasn't there an eclipse like every damn year? Like or is there different types of eclipses that
there's
I'm
different types of eclipses,
okay.
but
Yeah.
like it kind of depends on what the eclipse is. Like solar eclipses happen, I want to say about twice a year,
Yeah.
just all over the place. But like a total solar eclipse where like it literally blocks out the entire sun,
Yeah.
I would say happens like every 3 years or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, so that's why I'm
but
like
it's somewhere just like around the globe. So like, um,
oh, like a specific
yeah,
location.
yeah, yeah. So it's only
Oh,
like
I see.
visible from like, um,
Yeah, like
certain
Brazil and then
points.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like for this one, it was big because you could see it. I think like it ran across like the US on
Yeah,
certain like
yeah.
a certain latitude longitude kind of thing,
Right.
because it's like from Earth's poles and from the middle of the ocean, like you can see it.
Yeah.
But so like this one, like because I know there was a guy that lives in California, uh and he flew out to like Phoenix or whatever
Right.
it was, because like that was like along the path of how it was going.
Right. Right. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, so you could still see it, but it wasn't
Yeah.
like along like the path of like
Yeah.
whatever it
Okay.
was.
Okay. So I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one who asked this question, but that makes sense. So solar eclipse happens every year. It's just that when they talk about, oh, we're not going to see this solar eclipse again until 2045, 2050, they're talking about in this location.
Yeah, because it's like
Yeah.
because it's the the rotating part of
Yeah. Yeah. That makes
with the
sense.
Earth, and then the moon
Right.
like completely with the lunar eclipse eclipsing the sun and all that stuff. So
Right. All right.
um
All
but
right. I
I
learned
mean I
something new.
guess there's those are the two technically, because you have a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like I was always like, I rarely experience it. Maybe I hope to experience it one day, but it's like, or actively experience it. But I always hear in the news articles, they're always like, "Oh, you're never going to see this again until 2050," and then literally a year later, it's like, "Oh, get ready for another solar eclipse." I'm like, "You just said last year we won't see this until 2050, so then why are we seeing it again?" But it makes sense. You won't see it again in that certain location. So if you want to see the next solar eclipse next year, you got to travel to the other side of the world or something like that. What they mean is like you won't see it again prominently in this section of the US or whatever. So
yeah,
okay, that makes
like
sense.
the total one, I can't remember where I
Yeah.
think it went across Arizona, part of Texas. It was a diagonal up.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that on the map. Like,
Um,
yeah. So that makes sense. Cool.
yeah, because
Oh,
like I think full eclipses happen at like every 18 months to 2 years.
gotcha.
So
Yeah,
like I
that
mean,
makes sense.
but again, it just depends on where
Yeah.
you're at. But yeah, I know it.
Huh. Cool.
I
I
don't
learned
know.
something new.
Yeah.
That's
So
why we do these talks, man. So we can figure out these figure these things out.
I know science, right?
Yeah. Well, uh let's get into our segment on reacting to some world news outside of the solar eclipse and stuff. Uh let's head to your hometown, Japan,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. So I don't know if you knew, but I mean we talked about this multiple times. Japan's having a population crisis, right? Aging population crisis. I mean, this is pretty common if you guys don't know this, but it's like, I read a lot of books like the Ikigai method, and stuff like that. Japan has some of the highest rates of centurions, people
Yeah.
who, for those who don't know, are make it to 100 years or more, right? And Japan has one of the biggest populations of people over 100, just because their diet, the way they live, healthy, right? Um, so, anyways, because of that, a little backstory that, Japan's now having an aging population crisis, meaning that over, it sounds like a small number, but this is huge compared to other countries. But over um, uh, a lot of people in Japan are living longer, and those people who are over the age of 80 has grown by 10% in the population. So I don't know what number that makes, but it's a pretty huge number. And so check this out. So I just read this article. I don't know if you know. Chime in if you do. But Japan actually worldwide has probably one of the largest diaper companies in the world. But because of this aging population, they recently stopped making diapers for babies and solely focus on making adult diapers.
Yeah.
And they and believe it or not, you're like, how are they profitable? The adult versions of the diapers are actually outselling baby ones, and that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, you see it in a lot of Asian countries in general. It's just like the life expectancy is of both sexes, we should say,
yeah,
are generally higher, obviously, than the U.S. because I mean we eat like shit. Let's be honest here.
right.
And I mean that's really what it
Many
is
glizzies.
because we eat like shit.
Yeah,
Whereas we consume a ton of red meat and other, who the hell knows what goes into our stuff, you know what I mean? GMOs or whatever it might be. Um, or depending on what documentaries you watch, farmed meat versus normal meat versus grass
yeah,
fed meat, which is,
yeah,
again, like there's so many documentaries out there too that kind of just show that bad side, or like I'd say bad side, but I mean, it is technically bad because like
right.
I mean, there's some things like we're taking down natural, forests or even
Yeah,
rainforests in other countries now, so that you could basically create more grass
right,
land for cows to consume grass, to be grass fed. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's kind of crazy. So,
right.
I mean, but most Asian countries, they usually have a low consumption of like red meat, and they're
Yeah,
usually high in fish and like um plant food
right,
based
right.
foods, so vegetables. I know in Japan there's a lot of soybeans, and we drink tea
Yeah,
religiously, so
yep,
a lot of
yeah,
that. So I mean, I think Japan has one of the lowest rates of obesity. It's like under
yeah. I
5%,
believe
I
it. I
think.
believe it. Yeah, more fish and tea, less glizzies and soda.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, a glizzy in itself probably has just as much cholesterol as fucking somebody
yeah.
in Japan eats in probably a, a week
Fucking yeah.
or a
Their
month.
lifetime probably. Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of salt
Um.
in that
Yeah.
glizzy or whatever
But
else is put in there.
right. But I mean, that's a it's a crazy stat, crazy news to me. It's like, I mean, we don't have kids yet. Wish Dustin was on this episode, but talking about kids, he's having his daughter's going crazy right now, so he can't jump on tonight. But you know, I don't usually think about diapers, um, unless like there's a baby shower I'm going to, because the best gift is to get them diapers because those shit are expensive. But to read this article and find out that a country is having more adult diapers sold than baby ones is very interesting to me because I mean you ain't gonna see that in America, not anytime soon, not in our lifetime. You know,
Yeah,
yeah. Even though the U.S. is having a population crisis, but in the opposite way.
hmm
Less of an aging population. Well, no, yes, no. There's still an aging population, but not because everyone's becoming older than 100 or meeting the lifespan. It's more of like there's less babies.
yeah, less
Yeah,
babies, but with how unhealthy America is right now, it's
yeah,
I mean, we're seeing a lot more diapers, I would say, in older, and when I say older, like 60s. I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, that's how it feels like.
Right.
It's gonna be
Um.
Wally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Seriously.
We're
um.
getting to that point. I mean, our generative AI is getting so, we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
It's being
Yeah.
now it's self-aware, and you're just like, well, shit,
Right.
shut it down, pull the plug. I mean, but it's going to be one of those things where, it's like Wally, like we get to a point, maybe we won't go to space,
Right.
but I don't know. Everything's so easy now. We have almost self-driving cars, in a sense. You don't got to leave the
Yeah.
house
Yeah.
anymore. The only people that are fit are the people driving around. Well, maybe not. They still drive and drop things off.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, never mind. They're maybe not. They're
Right.
not as fit unless they're on a bike delivering stuff. Then by all means,
Right.
power to you. You're being healthy.
Sticking to that part of the hemisphere, we'll move to this article that I read about South Korea now. Speaking about population crisis, they're also having a crisis where, kind of like the US, there's not a lot of new babies being born because, a lot of people aren't having kids these days. And apparently, through the government to businesses, so the government is helping businesses who are helping the people. South Korean businesses are apparently offering their employees a one-time 75K bonus. Or actually, I may have read this article wrong, but they're offering a $75,000 bonus for each baby they have. So I don't know, man. Hey, if my company starts having that, because we were gonna wait on having kids, but hey, an extra 75K, put that immediately into a college fund, or just put that into um you know um some fund for them, for like put it into a S&P 500 stock and just let it grow for every year that they are, and then give it to them when they're 18. I mean, shoot, I'd do it.
Yeah,
That would save a lot of headache, because you'll help them out that way in the future.
it's true. Although, I mean,
Yeah.
if Dustin was here, he might say $75,000 of diapers would be purchased in the first 2 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the way the diaper prices are going up, back
Yeah,
to the
dude.
diaper thing, like diapers are expensive, man.
Right. Diapers are expensive.
Man,
Yeah.
I
Well, if
know.
Dustin's listening to this, hopefully he give us an update,
I know.
you know.
We need an update. Do you still go to Costco to get your diapers?
Yeah.
Are you still buying Huggies? The normal or the Mickey Mouse ones?
Right, right. Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, no, seriously, 75K is a lot of money.
it,
Um,
it is. It is.
yeah.
I mean, if it's not getting hit with taxes, then by all
True,
means, yeah,
true.
just a straight up
Yeah.
75K.
Right.
That'd be nice to put away. But I mean, if you have a kid, though, I imagine most of that's gonna go. I mean, it's gonna go quick.
Yeah.
If you do
Yeah.
have to buy like diapers and all that stuff, that was weird.
Right.
The light just
Yeah.
like flickered.
Yeah, I saw that too. But yeah, I'd be curious to see how many people are taking up on that offer, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, all right. Well, moving away from baby crisis, here's another article I found out. Speaking of things being expensive, um, let's see. So someone did a report recently, and they were talking about how expensive things are in today's economy. So let me hear this: $90,000.
Yeah.
All right. Um, Name one or two things that you could get. Like, not talking about bills, housing expenses, right? But just straight up 90K right now on your plate, and you have to spend it right now. Name one or two things you can buy. You don't have to be specific. And just name one or two things you could buy with 90K right now. If they say you can't put it in stocks, you can't put in savings, you just have to spend it right now. Can't be on bills or housing expenses or living expenses. What can you get?
I mean, you can buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. I mean, cars are kind of expensive too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of things you could buy for 90K. I mean, how much are we trying to spend? Are we trying to spend the entire 90K, or are we trying to, what are we
No,
doing?
just yeah, spend the whole 90K. Just the reason why. Just give me an example, because the reason
Mhm.
why you'll hear, uh, um, um, what the article was talking about, but because this is
Yeah.
going to lead to something deeper. But go ahead and um, just name two things um you would buy immediately if you were given 90K and one day to spend it all.
And you can't save it or do anything, pay off your
Nope.
bills or your
Nope.
debt or anything. Man, that's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Because I feel like most people have debt that they
Yeah.
got to take
Yeah.
care of, which
Nope.
is
No
unfortunate.
debt. No living expenses.
I feel like most people would say a car, but like,
Yeah.
you know,
A car works. No, a car is not a
a car
living
works.
expense.
It's just one of those
Yeah.
things like, I don't know, like if you have a car, why buy another car? You know what
Right.
I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Um, did
What's
you
one more thing
say
you would buy
what
with
would I
90K?
buy? I mean,
Yeah.
I would probably invest in technology or something. And when I say
Oh yeah.
invest, I
Yeah.
mean buy
Yeah. Yeah.
technology, like replace some things, but
Yeah.
that's only going to be like $1,000. You know what I
Buy
mean?
like, yeah. Buy like 500 Apple Pro Visions.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, even
Yeah.
just buying one, it's like you still have to spend all this money. It's like,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I
check this out.
mean, it's
Okay,
all.
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's all materialistic items,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, there's so many things. Like if you only have a day to buy it, like sure you can
Right,
buy your stuff, or yourself a couple toys, maybe a car if you need a car.
right,
If
right,
you don't need a car, don't buy a car.
right.
Unless you plan
Well, I
on
mean,
selling your other
you have
car, I
90K
guess
though. I
so.
mean,
Yeah, I
might
mean,
as
yeah,
well
yeah.
pay it all off in
Could
cash.
you could yeah, you
Yeah,
could just buy it straight up as cash. I mean, you could
yeah.
buy you said not in homes, like invested into a home, because I mean, you could buy
I guess that counts. I guess,
I
do a
mean,
down payment on a house. I guess.
it, well,
Yeah,
maybe not. No, I'm just saying if we have to
yeah,
spend 90,000 and it's not like
yeah,
an
yeah,
investment,
yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of like that. I mean, you could buy like a mini home. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like those
Yeah,
sell
yeah.
for what,
True.
$40,000 or whatever.
Yeah,
And I was like, if you want to, I mean, you
depends.
could buy a shed,
Yeah, you could
store
probably buy
stuff.
cheap land somewhere
Yeah,
for
cheap land for
over
90,
90K.
or like, or you just buy. I
Yeah.
mean, you can what order those tiny homes off of Amazon now,
True.
for
True.
like 50,000, and like you
Yeah.
could have a whole house for 50,000. You need
Right.
somewhere to put it, obviously, but
Right. Well,
um,
well, before we go any further, I mean, all right, check this out. Just so that you can get an idea of where this article is leading, right? So this
yeah,
article is talking about today's economy, and there's a crisis going on that maybe you and I and Dustin and our friends don't really have to care about anymore. But check this out. So they ran a report. Here's what $90,000 will get you in today's economy, and wait until my last point. In today's economy, 90,000 will get you a brand new 2024 Rivian with all accessories, right?
yeah,
Or 900 Keurig coffee makers. Okay. 900 Keurig coffee makers. Or only 2 semesters at Yale. So
yeah,
the point of the article is trying to make is not what 90,000 can get you. It's that colleges are ridiculously
yeah,
getting more and more expensive nowadays. I just read it actually an article today that Harvard is increasing their fees because right now there's a push and pull, right? Because like Biden's trying to do more college debt relief. And because they're trying to do that, colleges are trying to make up for it by also going higher for some reason. Where
yeah,
they're saying that in the next couple years, Ivy League schools can probably break records of over 100K a year. Um, and so in today's economy is already expensive with higher interest rates, all that stuff, right? Everything being more expensive, but a lot of people aren't talking about. Maybe it's because our population, right? All of our friends, all of us, we're not going to school, we're graduated, so it doesn't really matter to us. So that's why we're not talking about it. But a lot of people are saying for the younger kids, college is ridiculously expensive right now. 90K, shit,
mhm,
dude. If you get offered 90K as a 18-year-old some kid, buy that damn Rivian and go do Uber and DoorDash, right? You'll probably make
yeah,
more where 90K only gets you 2 semesters at Yale. Now, again, Yale's a top school. You could probably get to another public university, but still, that's a scary trend. If Yale's going that high, you know, shit,
yeah,
even our local, universities will probably be still close to that 90K for 2 semesters, maybe. But damn, dude,
yeah.
college
I
is
know it's
crazy.
crazy. I mean, trying to invest into an education when
Yeah,
I know it's kind of hard because like you could, depending on what you're trying to get into, you can go to a trade school.
yeah, yeah,
And I mean, we've talked about this, and I think we were too real when we were in college as like advisors to
yeah.
these incoming students and stuff.
Right.
I just remember I got shut down one time. I was like, "Hey man, if you can't figure it out in 4 years, it doesn't hurt to have five." And people were like, "What? Don't tell people that." And I'm like,
Yeah, it's like, why?
I
Be
mean, like,
real,
why?
you fucking old head. You
I know.
fucking
I'm like,
jaded,
I mean, yeah,
jaded old head.
it probably turns off the parents because they got to pay for an additional year. But
Yeah,
like,
but it ain't gonna affect your
but
salary.
it's
It's
not
not
going to
like,
affect. Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's
not
one of
like
those things.
stupid.
I mean, I was like, hey, if I can buy a fifth year out of someone for you guys, guess what?
Yeah,
That tuition money's coming here anyways.
yeah,
Anyways,
seriously.
I digress. But yeah, it's just
Yeah,
one of those things. I think there was times where I think we got a little too real when we were supposed to be.
yeah,
But I mean, no, I'm not gonna just say I'm gonna put on this colored glass and just talk about how great this place is
No.
and like you're
Yeah.
gonna get everything out of it. I mean, like, yeah, some of that's true, but you know, you gotta it depends on what you put into it as well. Um, and you know, I don't know. I was just very much a like a realist when it came to that stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
look, you're gonna struggle. You know,
Yeah.
when you're in college, you're gonna struggle. You couldn't have come
Right.
in here and you think you want to do one thing, and if you can do that, then great. Like I applaud you for being able to do that and stick to your guns. But
Yeah.
you know, 85%, I don't even know what the stat is now, but like 80, I would say 80 to 85 people percent of people that go to college don't come out with the degree that they went
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's the prerequisites for a lot of things. Well, that's the weed, the weeding process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I knew of like my cohort that went in as like medical students and dentists and all of those things.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I can only name one person from that entire cohort of like 120 people that actually went on to do that.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That actually went on to be like a dentist, where
Yeah.
everyone else went different directions. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, yeah, sure, I was in that cohort. I'm not a dentist. Does it still interest me? Yeah, a little bit. Would I go back for a second career? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've also went through all that stuff, and I don't know if I'd want to subject myself to that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those sleepless nights trying to figure out like the ridiculous chemical, you know, formulas and balancing equations and all the stuff that you don't even use
Yeah.
once you get into your profession.
Yeah. That's
Um,
very true.
which is just, yeah, one of those things. So I mean, we were being real, you know what I mean? Like, no offense to the public universities, the 4 year institutions and all of that. But you can get just as good a education at a community college, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Or a trade
Hmm.
school. And guess
Hmm.
what? The trade school is going to teach you exactly what you need to do for whatever you trade you're going into, and it
100%.
quicker.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's crazy because like, you know, I've known people that in high school, even, you know, they were excuse me, they were, you know, just the typical like, I don't want to be here, you
Hmm.
know, I just spend all my time in shop class or whatever it might be.
Hmm.
But those some are some of the people that got most successful because they were
Yeah.
like they just worked on cars all the time. And you know what
Yeah.
they did after school? They went to a trade school for, you know, whatever it is, BMWs or working on cars or whatever it is. And they spent 2 years there. And then after they graduate, they're like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go do this. I have a job with this company. I'm making $120,000 or $20,000 a year, fixing this car, you know.
Hmm.
And it's one of those things like you go to you know, I'm using like BMW as like a prime example because it's like a German car, or is that
Yeah.
German? Yeah, that's German. Or
Yeah.
no, yeah, whatever. Or Volkswagen, for instance, like something
Yeah.
like that, where it's like very specific um, on how things are laid out. You know, a lot of people with Japanese cars or whatever, you know, they're so easily laid out that so many people in America can do it. It's not an issue. But when you come like a specialty car, like a Porsche or
Yeah. Yeah.
Lamborghini, you have to go to an exotic car dealership or a mechanic.
Yeah.
And you know, all these people that put in all this work to work specifically on that type of car, you know, they might do an hour's worth of work, but they're getting paid for 6 because that's what the book says it's going to take. You know what I mean? So they're just making bank over here. Anyways, I
Yeah.
digress. It's just the people that went to a trade school that made instantly 6 figures once they
Hmm.
got out. And I'm like, damn,
Seriously, dude. If
took
I mean, like
me
we talked
years to
about,
get to that
yeah.
point.
If we talked about this, if we could do it all over again, um, I mean, we probably wouldn't, because of how far we came, right?
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely,
but
absolutely. But
but if we were to go back in time, we would give our past selves the option. This is not the only route, you
yeah,
know?
yeah, this
Yeah.
is not the only route. I think you know, I think it would still would have been cool to obviously be like, now look, come to this place so you meet these people
Yeah.
and do cool shit with these
Yeah.
people. But like, this isn't the only way. You like, Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, you are working in the field that you got your degree. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? But that's so rare in a lot of instances. Like
Yeah.
I have a science degree.
Yeah.
Like I consider myself a decently smart person. I mean, to
Hmm.
get through a fucking science
Hmm.
program and get a bachelor of science, and even started a master in science. Didn't finish that, but I
Hmm.
attempted it. I just got too busy with everything else and trying to help pay for that. With
Yeah.
my working 40 hours a week
Yeah.
or more, just to help pay for it and everything. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm not in that degree or that field. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But so many people aren't. I
Right.
was. Don't get me wrong. I'm very proud of the work that I did and the work that I
Hmm.
completed, the
Hmm.
research that I did to get that, you know, Bachelor of Science degree.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'm proud of that. However, am I using it? No, I used it very briefly out of college. Realized it wasn't what I wanted to do after, unfortunately, what I wanted to
Hmm.
do after I got out. Now I've found my way in a different path and climb the ladder or the
Yeah.
corporate ladder, however you want to call it, whatever you want to
Right.
call it,
Right.
um, to a director, which, when you hit director status at, you know, early 30s, that's saying a lot because a lot of people don't necessarily hit director titles until,
Yeah.
40s,
Exactly.
50s, whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I worked my ass off to get here
Hmm.
and had to go through a lot of different things, and got shit on along the way. But, it's one of those things. So while
Yeah.
titles aren't everything, um, you know, how we started off this episode, like with someone taking a condescending tone, I'm like, look, just because we're both
Yeah.
directors here. You don't gotta fucking go all condescending on me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like, I'm not
Seriously.
one of your fucking delegates, like not
Yeah.
your minion. Anyways, no, again, not to throw titles around, but that's how it feels sometimes. I'm like, God damn.
Subordinate. I hate that
Yeah,
word.
yeah. No, I mean,
Use.
I get it. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm like, damn, man, just chill. Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
be like a dick about it.
Yeah.
It's like, don't throw your title around. And there's definitely people that do. You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty humble. I'm pretty chill, for a director. But I mean, like, if you disrespect me, yeah, I'm gonna be like, nah, man. Like,
Yeah.
I'll call out my title if I need to. I'm like, no, I'm a director. You know what I
Right.
mean? But usually I'm pretty chill about it. But like if you disrespect me, then sure, I'm gonna say it. But there are people out there that, man, they take
Oh,
that title
100%, dude.
power to their head, man. They're like, oh, who am I meeting? What?
Yeah.
Why
Dude,
you're in
you ain't
my
even all that.
presence. You're in
Yeah.
my presence now.
You ain't even
So
all
it's
that.
like, oh, all right, cool.
Yeah. How about your title at home? That's what I always say.
Yeah.
When people abuse their power at work is because they have a bad home life most times, you
Oh
know?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, there's some positions I just wouldn't take. I'm like,
Yeah.
and no offense, and you can kind of tell because it's like, oh, how's your home life? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm divorced. I'm like, well, that
Yep. It makes sense.
I'm sorry, but that makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But just because of like the lifestyle, because I
Yeah.
mean, you get to a certain point, you're married to your work,
Yeah.
unfortunately, and
Yeah.
it's very unfortunate when you have to bring it home.
Hmm.
And even if you do bring it home, but like don't let it get involved and like
No.
ruin your family life. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And unfortunately, you see that a lot,
Yeah.
in a lot of families. Like some might fight through or like make it work until their kids are old enough, and then they decide to split up or whatever it might be. But
Right. But that's just so sad.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is because unfortunately, like you look at it of like I chose my profession over my family. Um, and not to say it's like a horrible thing because so many
Hmm.
people do it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's just one of those things that it is unfortunate that happens. And but I don't know. You see it a
Yeah.
lot. You see it a
Yeah.
lot, and I just
Yeah.
hope that
Yeah. Most
people
times,
recognize it.
yeah. I mean, me and you both been through the ringer in our professional lives, and I tend to notice more the shittier managers or the shittier people in your workplace is because they have a shitty home life, you know. Not trying to call them out for it, it's just it's a sad thing. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Most times, you know. And
And,
so
and it's
yeah.
crazy because like some people thrive in that too. And I'm just like, I look at it and I'm like, bro, I can't. I don't
Yeah.
think I could do that.
No. The older I
Like,
get, yeah. I mean, obviously you want to take a good enough paying position, right? But to support your life, but you gotta figure out how to make the money work for you, you know?
yeah, I was gonna, but yeah, but like what at what cost? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
get to a certain point, and you realize real quick whether it's for you or not for you. You know, like
Exactly.
I see like these folks that are like, you know, now being on the private sector side of things and kind of seeing like, you know, you get into that point where like working now for a global company, like you have things everywhere,
Hmm.
um, resources everywhere, but you have like area general managers,
You're right.
or regional general managers. And I'm like, you guys are flying like, you know, some you might have 10 accounts
Hmm.
and they're all in like different parts of like sometimes you're just in one state, but then you're on the
Hmm.
road all the time. Others are like in different states and you're constantly on a plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know a guy who, you know, he's at home 2 days a week. And then
Jeez.
every other day he's traveling in some other state.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, man, I don't know if I could live that life. If I
Yeah.
was single, maybe.
Right.
But
Right.
but then at that point I'm like, that's a lot of traveling, man. That I
Hmm.
mean, when I traveled to and from here when I was first moving down, I was tired.
Hmm.
It's tiring flying back and forth and being on a plane, you know, every other week. I can't imagine if you're on a plane like every 3, 4 days
Yeah.
flying to and from places.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I'm in California, but you know, I live in uh Montana, but I flew to California and Washington and
Yeah.
Arizona just to check on my accounts. And I'm like, that was in 1 week. I'm like, damn, you are married to your job,
Yeah.
honestly, which
Yeah.
is, I mean, if you like it and you're single, then by all means, or you have to have
Right.
a very understanding partner
Yeah.
uh, that's willing to work through all of that
Yeah.
because it's a lot of patience on both sides.
Right. Right. Yeah, man. That's life, professional life. A lot of people go through it in different ways.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I don't even know how we got onto that topic, but
we
uh,
were talking about expensive colleges, and then
yeah,
let us
yeah.
back
We
down
kind
to
of,
our bread and butter of like, hey, man, go to that trade school or
yeah,
find another
yeah.
way, create a business. You know, not saying that school is bad because we went through it. I'm just saying there's
There's other
back when we
ways.
went to schools, yeah,
Yeah,
we only thought it was only one way to get to where you want to get to, but no.
yeah.
Even and this is even before like the major social media time, right?
yeah,
You know, you can still it's still tried and true that there's more than one way than going through college. Um, but
yeah.
yeah,
It's all about the experience.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um,
It is. It
when
is.
when we
There,
went through it, that was the way. That was like,
yeah,
hey, if you have this college degree, you will get higher salaries. You will. That ain't true, man. I
not
mean,
a,
at
yeah,
some point, like it's one of those things. Like, sure, you have a college degree, but do you have 800 years of experience? Like,
yeah,
nah, bro. I just
yeah,
graduated.
yeah,
Sorry, this is an entry level position, but you need that much. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I guess I didn't do this right.
yeah,
But nah, I mean, once you get into, I mean, you have a master's degree, it's a little different. That'll help. I mean, but if you're going for a master's degree, it's going to be very specific,
yeah,
obviously, and that
yeah.
you will be in a very specific career, and that will help you, you know, navigate and negotiate salaries and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
it's a lot of work just to get there.
Yeah, a lot more money as well.
Yeah, and like you can go for certificate programs to help show your knowledge in areas.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, I mean, there's more than one way. There are cheaper options. uh,
way cheaper options. Yeah,
yeah, you know, not necessarily having to.
Yeah.
crippling yourself in debt.
Right.
Um, but
Or, moving on to this next article that's kind of related, or you could just be AI. Because you know, not to digress too much, but moving on to the next article, we talk about AI all the time. And we were just talking about how last week that AI, is now starting to become self-aware. And like every week, dude, I'm reading a new AI article that's just like, damn, it's just they're just getting more and more smart. So a lot of companies right now, especially one of the biggest tech giants, Open AI,
mhm.
uh, they're training their AI systems to basically just eat up all the content um, that there is to offer, so that they can just continue to be smart. Check this out, dude. As of today, to train their powerful AI systems, basically they have AI harvest almost every bit of web content on the internet.
Mm.
Like just scouring any content, YouTube, Google, Wikipedia, everything, right? That's ever put out in the internet from the beginning of internet time. And as of right now, the internet is tapped out of quality data from the
Mhm.
internet. They literally harvested so much data so quickly. There's no content on the internet for it to create anymore or to study from.
Bro,
And so,
that's wild.
yeah, dude. So right now, you even got companies like Meta, Facebook. Um, they're reportedly trying to buy Simon and Schuster, the book publishing company, so that they can help their AI start reading through, books to gather more data, because they ran out of quality data to mine. Um, it's kind of like what you said before, is like, like at one point, you talked about how there was those two AI talking to each other, and it got to the point where, oh shit, balloons. Um,
Balloons.
the AI talking to each other to the point where they ran out of things to talk about, where they started creating their own languages. I
Mm.
mean, hey man, next week I might read an article where it's saying like AI just created new alien content, you know, that we can't even comprehend yet.
Could you
Because
imagine if AI was just like, hey, we're going to create this language. We're going to look beyond Earth for, if I don't know how they would even do that, but connect to satellites or whatever.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden we find life on another remote planet, that
right, right,
universe even, that we don't
yeah.
even know about. Oh my God, this is going to be, it's too much, man.
Oh man,
Too
every
much.
week, dude, I just read a new article and I'm just like, wow. At first, remember when AI first started, like Chat GPT, it's like whatever, that's bullshit, like, or whatever, that's stupid. And then like we evolved. It's not even a whole year yet, or maybe it is, but like we evolved so much, and there's stuff behind the scenes that we haven't even heard about yet. That AI is doing. Um, but yeah, we'll see what's going on. Uh, in future weeks, future months, future years. See what else AI will create for us.
Yeah, I know it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know if I should be terrified or just
yeah. I
if
don't know how
more
I feel yet.
interested.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how I feel yet.
It's one of those things. Yeah, I mean, now that they're becoming self-aware, I'm like, don't
Yeah,
give it a body.
yeah.
Don't. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. It could probably shut down the entire infrastructure of the United
Oh,
States or the
100%.
world, but
Yeah,
uh, that's beside the point. But
yeah.
you give it a body, then all of a sudden it becomes scary. Um,
Exactly.
but yeah, man,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Between that and natural mother nature things happening with earthquakes and
hmm hmm
tsunamis and all that stuff, who knows? Who knows what our
yeah.
world's in for?
Well, last article of the night. Maybe this is something that AI can save for us, right? Maybe this is one good thing AI can do for the world population. To spin at 180. So I wish Dustin was here for this, but this is something for us to end on. So next season of Bluey hasn't been confirmed yet. So many fans are speculating that this is it. The last season 3 finale, which is next week, April 14th, could be the show's ever last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't been watching Bluey or watching it again ever since that one time we brought it up, you know. But the feeling that I got from those several episodes I watched still stands. That
Hmm.
Bluey is that amazing of a show. And it's not like, it's not like, since I haven't been watching it, if it cancels, it's not like it's gonna ruin my life, but it's still like, it's kind of bittersweet to talk about because it kind of had a great run if it is the final.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Bluey.
I know it's kind of
It's kind of bittersweet. I
it
mean,
is.
it
It
makes you
is.
kind of go back to rewatch the episodes, and their episodes are rewatchable. So it's like, you know, I guess like it'll be imprinted in history as a short run, but one of the greatest cartoon runs of our time. And this is new generation shit. Like, you know, like we can talk about stuff that we watched as a kid, right? Like Arthur, all this old Nickelodeon, all the old Cartoon Network stuff. Like we can talk about that. And but as we get older, we're like, damn, there's like a lot of shit stuff that's produced nowadays for kids these days. But Bluey, that was top tier.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't know it, that would have been stuff that was created when we were younger. That's how good it was.
Yeah. I know.
They
It's
were
crazy. I know
I
because
don't yeah.
I was gonna say with Bluey, like there's all these conspiracy theories. I don't know if you watched that
No,
video.
I haven't. I haven't.
There's it's in the group chat on Instagram.
Oh,
But
I
there's
must have
like
missed
this
that one.
guy that was
Yeah.
just, yeah, you gotta watch it. It's like, why are they selling their house? Why are the
Oh my God.
there's a whole
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
theory on it. I'm like, bro, that's
Yeah.
actually kind of funny.
That is funny. I mean, that's a good kind of theory. But I was gonna say, I read another article. I just read about it. I didn't link it to this, but it was related to this. Now that I'm thinking about it, I should have added the article because it's relevant.
Hmm.
But there was someone who said that there were like some scientists, and they were like, they decided to do an experiment with their kids where they would have their kids only watch like kid shows from our
Hmm.
generation versus um the shows of today's generation. And they found out that when kids were watching our generation kid shows, kids these days watching our generation shows, um they were less likely to get distracted or less because I guess in those shows back in the day there was less visual cue and distractions in those shows than today's shows. Today's shows, there's a bunch of lights, bunch of pop-ups, bunch of everything, right?
Hmm.
That distract the kids. But back in the day, it was like you had one scene, dialogue, you know, and then it moves to another scene
Yeah.
where in I guess in today's kid shows, I mean you kind of see it, but as an adult, you don't really notice because we're more perceptive. But like you'll have something happening in the background, a light
Hmm.
popping in the background, like so like in the foreground of what the purpose of the show is, those kids miss it now because they're so damn distracted with so many other things.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I saw a video. I think I mean you said article and videos and stuff. I saw a
Mhm.
video like I mean it's a trend right now on like Instagram and Reels and
Yeah.
whatever else too. We're like, yeah, I'm showing my kid the stuff that I grew up on. So like you see like I think one of them they were watching like uh was it the Bear in the Big Blue House or whatever it was,
Yeah, yeah.
and they were just like eyes are just affixed to the screen. And I'm like, it's a good show. So I mean like
Yeah.
I get it, but
Yeah.
yeah. I know, yeah,
Well,
but like you said, there's so many things happening in today's shows, like all
yeah.
over the place. That's why like Bluey is so good because it's like keeps your attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, versus I don't know, whatever. I don't even know what the other shows are now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Coco Melon. I always joke
Yeah,
about.
Coco Melon, yeah, all those things, and
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. There's so many shows now where you're just like, oh,
yeah,
okay, but
yeah.
yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
anyways, hopefully Bluey keeps its run going. I'm sure maybe the writers are just moving on to bigger, better things. Maybe can't really fault them. But yeah, that's all the time we got today. Um, any final thoughts before we wrap it up and call it good night?
Um, no, I think I'm good. I think we covered a wide array of
We did,
things.
we did. All right, man. Well, thank you. And before we sign off, we like to end with our favorite saying: keep talking with each other, keep thinking together, and keep growing together. 'Cause that's how we continue to grow and love, and learn new things together. And we'll see y'all next time.